No more, no more, no more, no more, no more crumbs. It's the Value Journey Podcast with Rhonda Jennifer. No more crumbs. You are royalty, victorious, God's creation. You've been made for so much more. No more, no more, no more, no more, no more.
Often, from our experiences, we are left to feel unworthy, empty, and questioning if we matter. But with God, He reassures us that we do matter, and we do have tremendous value. Have you been conditioned to devalue yourself? Are you settling for a lifestyle of crumbs? Do you question your purpose and value? The No More Crumbs value messages are derived from the Bible story in Matthew 15:25-28, where a woman believed she was only worthy enough to settle for crumbs and never believed she deserved more. Not until she met Jesus. Jesus encouraged her to want more in her life. And with this woman's acceptance of Jesus' love, she was awakened to want better for her life. From this acknowledgement, Jesus commended her on her faith to accept the new truths about herself. The Value Journey podcast is focused on providing supplemental and suggested tools to help you accept the positive truths about yourself and guide you on how to take action steps to activate your truths. God has designed for us all to live a life that is full and enriching. You deserve victories in your life. You are royalty. You are God's creation. You are valuable. Now join me as we grow together with the Value Journey podcast.
Hello, everyone. I am so delighted to have Minister Jesse Lewis III with us today. He is an empowering motivational speaker, a coach, an author. He has written a book called Plant.point.accelerate, a cornerback's guide to playing the field of life. So he's here to share with us the nuggets and wisdom from this book and also all the powerful work that he's doing. So welcome, Jesse. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you. So I enjoyed your book. You had so much wealth of knowledge, and then you also used it where you can engage with your audience with a hashtag that you could go back and forth if they had questions or to continue the conversation from the book, which I thought was very powerful because this is a book that you will always hold on to and reference back to because it's teaching you how to develop and grow through life. Talking about the different aspects of the title gave a greater definition, and not being a complete advanced sports fan, I still grew a greater wisdom and aha moments that I got from this book. So I just thank you for it. Thank you.
Thank you. And that was the intention when I wrote it. I'm someone who didn't grow up an avid reader. Long books were difficult for me to get through because I would kind of forget and lose what happened and where I was. When I wrote the book, I said, I want to write something that would be for people like me who may not be able to consume a lot. Wanted to put those, like you said, those main points in there and just kind of get right to the chase and give somebody something that they can hold on to and go back to in the future to help them grow.
You know, each chapter you explained what the position was in the sports aspect, but then you broke it down in layman's terms on how we could apply it, and then you gave nuggets of wisdom for us to actually make action steps. So I really appreciate that. And then you also noted how your coaches were so significant in your life.
When you first pick up the book and you look at it, it looks like you have to have this extensive football knowledge. And as you say, you don't. And what I realized preparing to write the book, I had a lot of people that would ask me, how did you make it to where you are? You grew up I grew up primarily in Elizabeth and Jersey City, New Jersey, in very tough environments. My mom was a single parent for some time. She remarried, so I had a blended family and all these things that went through in my life. Like, how did you get to where you are today? For me, the quick answer is always nothing but the grace of God. And then I got to a place where people kept asking me, and I had to sit down and think, okay, well, how did I really get here? Let me think of some tangible things and how I got here. And so that's how the book came about, reflecting on my experience as a football player and playing football, so influential in my life and helping me to grow and develop. And then the coaches along the way who shared with me not only how to be a better football player, but also having conversations about how the things I was learning on the field would help me to be a better man, a better husband, better brother, a better community member, all those different types of things as well, translated to real life very, very easily.
Goodness, witness to it in here. And then you also mentioned how the positions that you take is really the positions that we take in life. So you mentioned plant. So let's talk about that. And that's where you position yourself to be responsible and do a self-assessment. And that's kind of tough. That's challenging.
Yes, it is. And so we would do transition drills. I played the cornerback position. And for those who are not familiar, if you're watching a football game and the ball gets thrown up in the air and there's this guy that's trying to stop the team from catching the ball, that's the cornerback. That's my job. Playing cornerback, you are not sure where the receiver is going. You have to always be ready to transition based off of what another person does. Very rarely can you be proactive. You have to react quickly and transition from whichever direction you're going to another direction. And when you think about that, life is the same way. You could be going through life and think you have your plan all set, and then something happens, and it could be anything. It could be you lose your job. It could be you lose a loved one. It could just be, you wake up and your car won't start. All sorts of things that happen throughout the day that just throw your life off, and you have to be ready to transition and change direction quickly. Our transition drill would be plant.point.accelerate. And so the plant part of it was digging your foot in the ground and getting a firm foundation. And so for life, that just means doing that self-assessment. What are your firm foundations? For you individually, what are your strengths? What are the things that make you you, that you are good at, that help you to navigate life, those things you can lean on? And then who are the people around you that are firm foundations? People that you can lean on and depend on, that are going to help you through different situations. And so that first step in transitioning and dealing with the changes of life is looking within yourself and finding out, okay, what are the things that I'm good at that can help me get me through this situation? And then who are the people that I can rely on to help strengthen me as well?
And that's so significant. We find that trying to do it on our own is much harder. Struggle that way. When do we open our eyes and be receptive to receive the help, admitting that you need the help? And it's not a sign of weakness at all, but a strength. Yeah.
Absolutely. And one of the things I share in the book, Coach, who would say to me, if you buy a house and you see a turtle on the roof, no, he didn't get there.
Right. Yeah, I read that.
Right? Nobody has gotten anywhere by themselves.
Yes.
And people who try to pretend and put on like they did, it's a lie. There's no way that anybody gets anywhere on their own. There's always people along the way that either pushed you, motivated you, challenged you sometimes, whatever it is, but you are where you are because, yes, the belief that you had in yourself, but also because there are other people around you. And so don't go into trying to make changes in your life, trying to grow in your life, thinking, I'm going to do this all on my own. You have to find people around you that are going to be able to support you.
I love that analogy. How did the turtle get on the roof? But, he didn't get there alone. Someone had to plant him there. Yeah. And then you even mentioned in plant, even when it rains, the raining conditions shouldn't stop or take our focus off of what we need to do. We use excuses often, don't we?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just because it's slippery out doesn't mean I have to fall, right? It just means I need to change my approach, right? So if I'm running one way and I need to stop and go the other way, when it's dry out, that's easy to do. When it's wet, I may need to take an extra step, slow down a little bit. It doesn't mean I still can't change direction. It doesn't mean I still can't make a change. It just means I need to evaluate the situation a little bit differently. Not making an excuse, but realizing there are some, explanations why I am where I am. And then, okay, now what's going to be the course that I need to take now? I can't do it the way I would have done it if it was dry out, but I can still do it. And it may take a little bit longer. It may take a little bit more work, but I can still make the transition even when conditions aren't ideal.
You're so good. Oh my goodness. So that really brings in resilience. And then you have to start building up a courage and to know what to do next, not give up. So I like that. So the next one is point. And that one, I found that really interesting because you mentioned that we may not know which direction to go in. We might be confused at one point. Keep it in a ready stance. You said called it chopping,
Yes.
right?
Keep your feet chopping. If you go by any football field or the defensive side of the ball, you're going to hear a coach say, keep your feet chopping. Like you said, that just simply means, okay, I got my foundation. I'm not be sure which direction I want to go in, but I still need to be doing something so that when I do figure that out, I can just take off, right? So I'm not just standing still, kind of waiting around. I'm still alert. I'm still looking around. I'm still paying attention. So even in writing this book, it took me a while to do it. Every couple of nights or whatever it was, I would write a paragraph or write a couple of sentences or think of another idea and jot something else down. And so that's keeping my feet chopping. I'm not just going to write the whole book all at one time. And when I first started, I didn't really know which direction I wanted to go in, but I was doing something. So whatever it is that you feel like you want to do in life, I can be doing something even if I can't do everything right now. Even when I talk to young people, it's like, I'm about to graduate. What are you going to do after you graduate? It's always the question. What are you going to do after you graduate? You going to college? You going to do this? And sometimes they don't know. And I tell them it's okay not to know. It's not okay not to do anything. So be thinking about something. Even if you're not sure, okay, still fill out some college applications. Even if that's not what you're going to do. Maybe in a month or two from now, you do decide that's what you want to do. You don't want to then have to fill out a bunch of applications. So while you're deciding it, you can still be doing something. If you are you say, okay, I want to get a trade. What are the trade schools? Do you know where they are? What trade are you interested in? What is that going to look like? What is the average salary of these different trades? You can be doing something right now, even if you're not sure which direction you want to go in, you can still be doing something to help you be in a position that when you do decide, okay, this is what I want to do, I don't then have to start from the beginning. I've already got some, momentum moving in that way, and it helps me to get to where I want to a little bit faster.
Oh my gosh, you have such good stuff. So then with Accelerate, you mentioned engaging and moving forward. And then I guess you're already prepared in the plant part and then the point. So then when you're accelerating, you're not just lashing out there, you're more aware and have more wisdom on what to do.
Absolutely. Accelerate is the part where a lot of people want to get to first. Right? There's a reason why there's a transition. There's a reason why we did the drill a certain way. Because if I just take off running and I don't know what's happening, then I'm all over the place. And not only do I mess myself up, I mess my teammates up. So in life is the same way. Don't just go out and start doing stuff. You want to kind of have a plan in place. But then once you have that plan in place, yes, accelerate. Give it all you've got. Don't go into it timidly. If you're deciding, okay, I'm going to make this work, I'm going to write this book, give it all you got. If you're deciding, okay, I'm going to go to college and I'm going to give it my best shot, give it your best shot. Don't go to college and play around and party and then be like, well, college wasn't for me. Well, you didn't really know because you didn't really try your absolute best at it. Whatever it is that you're deciding, okay, this is what I want to do to enhance my life, give it your best shot. Even if it doesn't work out, you'll be more sure about that if you gave it your best shot. And you won't go back and sit and think, oh man, well, maybe if I would have did this, or maybe if I would have did that. No, I get it. I gave it everything. I tried and I gave it my all. It didn't work out. Okay, that just means I got to line back up and try something else and do it again. And so one of the things my coach would say, you're going to make mistakes. I don't mind if you make mistakes, but make them at full speed. Let me know that the mistake that you made, you were 100% committed to it and you thought that that was the right thing to do at the time and you gave it your all. Because if you give it your all, even in your mistake, something good can come out of it. If you are timid about it, indecisive, and you're not really sure, then the other team is going to get something positive out of it. And so give it your all, even if you make mistakes, and we can line back up and live with the fact that you gave it 100% and then reevaluate from there and line back up the next play, fix whatever it was, and make sure that you're going. back in the right direction.
Because that's great that he gave you that leeway, because that helps you grow when you learn from your mistakes. Instead of shaming you, learn the correct way to do it. And
Absolutely. And it gives you a freedom when you are able to play. And I can remember sitting in one of those meetings with my coach and him pointing out how timid we were playing. Remember the next week after we played another game and going back and him pointing out, look how much more free you played. You weren't thinking about, oh, is this the right thing or is it the wrong thing or whatever it is. No, make the decision. You've already planned it. You've already pointed. You've done the planning, right? So just go with it. Give it 100%. And it frees you up a lot more. And you're able to then, like you said, learn from the mistake, because I can pinpoint what the mistake is because I gave it my all. If I didn't give it my all, there's all these what ifs in the air. Is this why it happened? Is that why it happened? I'm not really sure. And so now I have a lot more to think about in terms of correcting it and growing and getting better. But if I gave it 100%, that cuts out all the other stuff. It wasn't because I was too timid. It wasn't because of this. It wasn't because of that. This was clearly the mistake that I made. I can fix that and I can be better the next time.
that's how it is with God, like God gives us opportunity and grace to make our mistake. And then he helps us to get back on track, to move forward. It grows us because we don't live in the past. Purpose decision to improve and do better and learn from it. So that gains us confidence and grows us. So that's really good. And then you also mentioned how we have to do self-care, which I truly believe in. Care and self-love, because as we're progressing through life and positioning ourselves, we forget about it. We forget that we're important and we have to show up for the world. And if we're not at our best, we're going to do our best or give our best. You want to talk more about that?
Sure. I call that stay with your man, right? There's a responsibility that you have. And one of those responsibilities that we often neglect is the responsibility we have to ourselves. I'm no good to anybody else if I'm not at my best. And so I've got to take care of me. I've got to take care of my responsibility to myself. Talk to my wife about that. I talk to my sons, and they're only 5 and 6 right now, where it's like, okay, what do you need to do to get yourself together? Right? My 5-year-old's having a tantrum. He just can't get things together. All right, you go to your room, get yourself together, and then come back and we can have this conversation. And as early as that, talking about, okay, this is what I need to do to calm down. This is what I need to do to take care of myself. And it's not selfish when you're taking care of yourself so you can be better for others. It's selfish when you're taking care of yourself solely for yourself. And intent is to neglect others. That's selfish. When I'm taking a moment to step away so that I can be better for you when I come back, that's not selfish. That's self-care. And so it's important for people to realize that there are times in life, because of how challenging life can be, where you do have to step away and you have to know what are the things that help me take care of me. What are those things? And it's not going to be the same for each person. My wife can grab a book, go sit out in the backyard under the umbrella in the shade and read a book for hours, and that is great for her. I can't do that. That does nothing for me. I need to get on the bike and do a bike ride and exert some energy, and that's what works for me. My wife bike rides as well. I read as well. But when I need those moments to take care of myself, there are some things that I go to that work for me to help me be better so that I can then be better for other people.
That's so important, because then you guys have your own separate things, but then you come together and unified as a family. That's so cute. I love that. So then you're also talking about how we should prioritize our time and using all the time we have, our active time and our downtime. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I hear people say the one thing that everybody has is the same amount of time. But within taking care of yourself, you have to know where to place your resources and utilizing that time so that you're not overextending yourself. You're not trying to take on too much at one time. It's okay to say no. This isn't going to work right now. As an example, I was doing a virtual call a little while before this, and it ended at about 3:30. So I knew we had to jump on. And so I had somebody text me during that call say, hey, I need you to call me. And so I could have called them in the short time between the call I was on and this one. But I said, no, I'll text you after I'm done with my second call, because I didn't want to kind of squeeze into that time. I didn't know exactly what the conversation would be like. And so I didn't want to focus on that call and then not be able to get prepared for this one. I didn't want to have that one extend longer. It could have been a grave emergency, but if it was nothing I could do about it from where I am right now anyway. So like, okay, I have something that I need to do. I will call you back after that, maybe around 5:36. That cool? Cool. All right. Right. And so that was me looking and saying, okay, this is the time that I have right now. I'm not going to be able to be my best self during that time on the call with you. So I'm going to say no to it right now. I'm not going to call you back right now. I'll call you back after, when I have the appropriate energy, everything to devote what is needed for that particular time.
Well, thank you. I hope it wasn't an emergency, but I appreciate it. Thank you. So then you also talk about actually disengagement, how there is no zest or zeal, and you have to find ways to make an impact. So that's really digging down deep, because people do get in a rut sometimes or get out of sort. How do you explain that?
That comes from personal experience, particularly on the football field. I was a pretty good player. And so there was this one season in particular in college where quarterbacks just wouldn't throw the ball in my direction. My coach would give us grades for the game, would get penalized for not having an impact on the game. They're not coming into my direction. There's really nothing I can do. And so you get into this place where you kind of fall asleep and you're just kind of out there going through it. And before you know it, they come at you and you're not in position to do anything because you were just moping around because nothing's going right for you right now. And so it's really difficult to pull yourself out of that. First, it's really difficult to acknowledge that that's where you are. I'm disengaged. I've got to find a way to stay engaged. And especially when you talk about mental health nowadays and people dealing with depression and things like that, finding help to engage in your life. You have to have an effect on your own life. It's not going to happen outside of you. Nobody's just going to come and be like, hey, you look down, you look sad. Let me do this for you. Let me give you a promotion. Let me improve your quality of life. Kind of just sitting back and disengaging because life isn't going perfect for you right now isn't the way to go. And so you have to find ways to engage in your life, have an effect on what's happening and going on around you. So if you feel like something's not going right, you feel like life isn't going the way you want it to, now is that point to start thinking, okay, well, where do I want to go? Let me plant, right? Let me look within myself. What are my strengths? What are the things that I want to do? Who are the people I can lean and depend on? Let me point, let me find the direction that I want to go, and then let me give it all I've got to try to get back engaged in this thing that we call life.
So how did you get out of that position, and what did you do?
For me, that position for me in my life actually came after I graduated from college. I was trying to play professional football in different ways, and I ended up getting going to training camp with an arena football team in Albany, New York. And after, at the end of training camp, we had a scrimmage, and it was the worst game I've ever played in my life. I was just so defeated. After the game, the next day, it had the final cuts, and I ended up getting cut, and I came back home, and that was like the worst, one of the lowest points of my life. And literally, I took a moment, stepped back. I kind of rededicated my relationship with God because I could see where I wasn't a good place. And so again, looking within myself, I knew that faith for me was one of my foundations. And so I went back to that, right? I started thinking about, okay, what are my strengths? I love speaking in front of people. Love it. There are some people who are terrified of getting in front of a room. The more people in the room, the better for me. I love speaking in front of people. And so it was like, okay, if that's what I love to do and that's what I'm good at, what does that translate to? right? Where do I go from here? And so I use that to say, okay, I'm gonna go teach, right? Every day I can be in front of a group of kids doing something that I love to do. And so I ended up going and going the alternate route and becoming a teacher. And then through becoming a teacher at the school I was at, Pride Academy in East Orange, we had these things called morning assembly, right? And in the morning, one of the teachers would get up and kind of give an inspirational message for the day. And I started doing those, and people were like, "Oh man, you're really good at this. You should do it more often," right? And so I was like, "Man, I am kind of good at this." And that turned into my first series of inspirational speeches that I put together. And that kind of led me to eventually launching my inspirational speaking business. And so when I was in that rut, when I was disengaged in life, I stopped. I planted. I looked in myself. I looked for people around me that could help that I could lean on for support. I started thinking about which direction that I wanted to go. I knew I wanted to be up in front of people talking. What that looked like at the time, I didn't know, but that was me chopping my feet and thinking about, okay, where can I go where I can make a living standing in front of people talking? And then I accelerate and I just went at it full speed. I'm going to become a teacher. And when I figured out, oh man, I can put these speeches together, I'm going to do it. And here I am today. And so it wasn't a process that just happened overnight, but it was something that was methodical, that was thought out, and I followed, literally my game plan. I plant, point, and accelerate.
And it's so exciting to hear that you actually implemented, what you're giving to others. And my goodness, look where you are today. If you didn't do all of the steps, you would have still just felt defeated or just giving up or just staying where you are, but you didn't. I'm so happy. And others are going to be too. So you mentioned growing. You said, don't pretend. Growth is promotion. You have to work to police yourself. So if you could talk about those.
So don't pretend that you are something you're not. And from the flip side too, don't pretend that you're not something that you are. Be honest and real with yourself. A lot of times I talk to people about growth and I say that a caterpillar's natural growth is to become a butterfly. They didn't change, they grew. It's supposed to become a butterfly, right? If a caterpillar goes in the cocoon and a bird comes out, that's change. You're not going to change, right? The idea isn't to change. The idea is to grow and look at who you are, be honest with who you are, and look at the natural progression of that. And if there's things that you need to, adjust, if there's things that you need to cut out or whatever it is, then commit to doing that work and really, check it yourself. Like, okay, this isn't working for me. This is something that I need to work on. If it's my attitude, whatever it is. If everybody around me is telling me, hey, you got bad attitude, be honest. Don't pretend, be honest. Okay, yeah, okay, I do. I got a bad attitude. And they can't just be like, okay, yeah, I got a bad attitude, so what? Okay, I got a bad attitude and it's preventing me from growing. So what are the things I need to do to adjust that? If everybody's telling me I'm lazy, I can't do like, well, everybody's telling me I'm lazy and be mad at the world because the world is, no. If that's what you're seeing, if you can't be honest with yourself, then you're not going to be able to become that butterfly. You're not going to be able to grow. So you have to learn how to stop pretending, look yourself in the mirror, be honest with who you are and your strengths and your areas that you need to grow, and then commit to doing what you need to do to, grow in those particular areas. Doesn't mean that anybody's ever going to be perfect, but I've got to get better at, in those areas in order for me to reach the level that I want to. And if I don't, I can't be mad at anybody else but myself.
And then it's hard for people that realistic about who their truth is. to really accept the truth. So how do we guide them to that? To really not to put them down, not pull them down, but really, like you say, all right, you're lazy, or you need to improve in this area without hurting them. Like how to say it.
It's something that's very, very difficult, and it's a delicate conversation to have. And whenever I think about a story in the Bible with Jesus with the woman at the well, right? And so one of the things that Jesus does, not only in that instance, but in other instances as well, he always gets people to a place where they admit what they want, right? He starts them there. Like you're looking for water, but I got living water, right? Would you want that? Well, you wouldn't have to thirst anymore. And now she's like, yeah, that would be great. I don't got to come down to this well no more, right? But then he starts to transition to, okay, well, if this is what you want, let me show you some of the things that are in your way, some of the barriers that are stopping you from getting there. And so whenever I'm speaking to somebody and it may seem like they're having a tough time, really being honest about who they are, shifting it to, okay, where do you see yourself going? What do you really want? Let them see that it's possible. You can do it. Now let's look at what are some of the things you think might be getting in the way, right? So if you're not really honest about the fact that you might be kind of lazy, but I get you to see, oh man, like I want to be this business owner. And it's like, oh man, that'd be great. You'll get up in the morning, nice and early, and go out and, go to your business and run your business. You would love that, right? Yeah. And so what might be getting in your way? I don't really like getting up and run. Oh, so you are saying you might be a little lazy. Oh, yeah. All right. So then now this isn't something that I'm pointing out to you saying something is wrong with you. This is now me saying this is something that will prevent you from getting to where you want to go. And so now I'm out of the equation. I just helped you to see that this behavior is preventing you from getting to where you want to go. So now, if you never become that because you decided you ain't want to get up early in the morning or whatever it was, that's on you. Or you don't like getting up early in the morning, great, start a night business. There you go. How are you going to shift it so that now that weakness isn't preventing you from getting to where you want to go? And so that's the way that I approach helping people to kind of get over being defensive about, what their shortcomings are, and just helping them to realize that there's ways either to go around them and still get what you want, or, okay, now you've got to confront it and decide if this is where I want to go. Either I'm choosing life, right? Or I'm choosing to stay where I'm at. And now it's in your hands. It's your choice.
Brilliant, because you helped them figure it out. You didn't actually say it. You helped them figure it out. That was brilliant. So you had a quote on page 74 of your book. In life, signs and signals aren't there to rob you of your freedom or fun. They provide direction so that you can enjoy life even more as a result of good decisions. So can you talk more about that?
Absolutely. So that chapter is all about reading signs. And so when it comes to life, there are signs and signals when you're driving, right? There's a stop sign. Now, if I'm driving my car and I'm enjoying my ride, I'm not going to look at that stop sign and say, I don't feel like stopping. I'm enjoying my ride too much. I'm just going to roll through it, right? The stop sign isn't there to stop you from enjoying your ride. It's there because it's dangerous if you don't stop at that intersection, right? And so a lot of times people see different signs and things like that, or people are trying to tell them things, and they look at it as this person's hating on me, or this person just doesn't want to see me win, or this person. And it's like, sometimes it's not that. Sometimes it's just, hey, it looks like you're going a little bit off to the left. Like, let me help you get back in your lane. Or it looks like you're getting a little out of control. let me lead you back. And if I look at those signs and signals when people telling me stuff, or if I look at some of my behaviors and I look at it as a negative, that, you know, people are trying to prevent me from living my life, or, you know, living my best life. That's one of those hot hashtags that's out there now, right? And I incorrectly identify it that way, then I'm ultimately putting myself in danger and at more risk. And so there are signs that are out there to help you to be able to maintain your fun or maintain your life in the long run, and not trying to rob you of that. So if your friend says, hey, man, you look like you're starting to drink a little bit too much, you know, it's not, I'm not saying that to you because I'm trying to kill your vibe or, you know, not have you enjoy. I'm saying to you because I'm concerned, and, you know, this is something that may jeopardize other aspects of your life, and I don't want that to happen for you. And so that's me being able to say, okay, I got to read this sign. I got to read this signal. Is this something that's really there to help me? Then I need to obey that sign, you know, and not look at it as, you know, you're just trying to stop my ride. No, I'm trying to prevent you from going into the intersection and getting into an accident.
So good. That's so good. So then you said how to get positioned to discipline me, doing a self-check, and how do we make informed decisions? How do we pay attention and make better decisions?
Right. So again, that's going back to those signs and signals, right? Okay, now I'm getting this information, right? I'm driving down the highway and I see the exit is in 2 miles, and then I see the exit is in 1 mile, and then I see the exit is in a half a mile. Like, why am I still in the left lane? Right? Doesn't make sense. And so if I'm starting to see those signs along the way are there so that I can make a good decision, like, oh, let me get over to the right lane because my exit is coming up, right? Not if I'm just like, okay, signs, I'm ignoring, oh, the exit, and I swerve over. Like, that's dangerous. And the reason the signs are there is so that you can make informed decisions. So the reason that people are giving you, look at the information that you're seeing. Look at the feedback that you're getting from people. As you're going through this thing called life, again, this applies to whether it's you on your job and you're trying to get a promotion, or, you know, you're just trying to, you know, make the decision for what I'm going to eat for dinner or whatever it is. There's always signs and signals that happen along the way. And I have to discipline myself enough to be able to recognize those signs and signals, but then not only recognize them, use the information from them to make the best decision possible. And if I miss that exit, I can't say it's because nobody, you know, gave me any direction. I can't say it's because, you know, I didn't know what to do. No, you knew, you saw those signs, exit in a half a mile. You decided to stay in a poor position in the left lane rather than using that information to get over and get ready to exit. And so you have to discipline yourself that way, to receive information and then use that to be able to put yourself in the best position to get where you want to go.
What are the guidelines for getting disciplined? Like getting yourself ready to make the change. I guess you have to be ready. You have to admit that you're ready. So how do you develop the discipline?
It comes back to planting again. What are your strengths, right? What are the things that make you you? What are the things that you are good at? Use those as the ways to discipline yourself. If your issue is time management and that's a weakness for you, then now I got to look for people around me that I can use them to help keep me accountable with my time, right? If my strength is organization and I can get things organized, but I just don't get them done, then use that strength, get things organized, and then find somebody else around you that can help push you to get things done. That person that's going to call you in the morning and say, hey, did you do this? I'm coming over. We're gonna get this done. And so that's where it starts. it starts with you being honest, looking in the mirror and say, okay, this is the issue that I have. This is the situation. This is where I want to go. What do I have within me that can help me get there? And then where do I need to look around me to help me for people that can help support me in those areas that I may not be the best at, but I know they're really good at it, and they're going to make sure that I get done what I need to get done. So that's where it really starts. And then, like you said, making the decision that this is something that I want for myself. I can't make that decision for you. Rhonda, you can't make that decision. They can read my book, read your book, they can read Michelle Obama's book, they can read everybody's book. But if I don't make the decision for myself that this is what I want, it's not going to happen. And so, looking within yourself, finding those supports, and then you have to be the one to make that decision and say, okay, this is what I want, this is what I'm going to commit to. And that's the kind of like that accelerate point as well. I'm committed to it.
It is so true. It's so true. So then I have a question. Would you say that, I guess you were saying, and this is part of the question, is life a strategy and you have to apply wisdom constantly? And I took a scripture from the Bible, quick to listen and slow to speak. And that takes great discipline, get ourselves in a position where we're not just accelerating, like you said, out of the box and not prepared. So using life strategy and using it with wisdom takes skill. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so everything that you go through in your life is a teaching moment, and it's a teaching opportunity or a learning opportunity. And so part of what helped me write this book was coming to the realization that playing football, and the things that I learned playing football could be translated to my life elsewhere. And so as you're going through life, the experiences that you're having are giving you information, they're giving you strategies, they're giving you wisdom so that you can use them in other areas. And so don't take for granted anything that you go through, no matter where you're from, no matter your upbringing, whatever it is, there's something to be gained from all of that. And when you meet a new challenge or a new experience, you've got to be able to look back and say, oh, wait a minute, it's not exactly the same, but I can use some of those same principles that I learned in that previous trial to help me in this new one, right? So, I one of the things I talk to people about, I was an asthmatic when I was young. I'm still an asthmatic, but I was a chronic asthmatic when I was younger. And it was tough because I had a lot of allergies. I couldn't eat dairy. That means no pizza, no ice cream, no nothing. I love ice cream, right? But it taught me that one, every breath that I take is valuable because at any moment I can have an asthma attack and breathing was done.
Yes.
Right? But it also taught me discipline and how to not feel like whatever I wanted, I had to have, right? I wanted a slice of pizza, but I couldn't because I knew the effect it would have on me. And so in my adult life, it's like, okay, I want a new car right now. I could technically go and get one if I wanted it, but I don't have to have it right now. There's other things that are more important right now than me going and getting a new car. And so taking the discipline that I learned as a young asthmatic and saying, okay, it doesn't just stop there because I got older. That same principle still applies later on in life, and I can use it to improve my quality of life and improve my situation each and every day.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Blessing.
Thank you.
So you were saying that the coaches, they always gave you like building blocks for a better life. And then you also said that the power of one, we don't make anything happen, on our own. So can you talk about that?
Absolutely. So when I talk about the power of one, it means so much. But it's about unity and bringing things together, right? So it starts with me, one, right? Me, one person, and looking inside myself and evaluating me, right? Being honest about who I am, my strengths, my weaknesses. But then I'm bringing other people into that thing to be unified with me, to help me to be who, you know, I want to be. And so I'm leaning on the things that my coaches have told me. I'm leaning on the things that my friends have, you know, helped me with. And so that doesn't, it increases the one, right? Because now we're all in this together. And then I take that to become a better person, to affect my community, to affect my world, because again, it's one community, it's one world. And so the power of one, it starts with an individual, but that individual is part of a bigger whole. And so looking at those different building blocks that my coaches gave me, my friends gave me, and using that to improve myself so that I can be a better part of the whole, my whole community, my whole world, my whole nation. That's the power of one.
Oh, thank you. So you're saying that the quick hits, there's quick hits, which are like your little nuggets of wisdom that I found so valuable. And I just want you to share maybe 3, and then I want you to go on and talk about how you engage with, you know, your followers and your audience on hashtag PPA guide. So if you could talk about those.
So you want me to share some of them?
Well, just, yeah, some
Okay.
of the quick hits, and then to go delve in deeper about it.
So I'm gonna pick up my book because I don't remember all of them off the top of my head.
Okay, well, I have some. Okay.
Oh, I got it with me.
Okay.
All right, so the first one, quick hit, is knowing where your help is. And that, again, that talks about that, you know, turtle on the roof.
Yeah.
Right? Know where your help is. Know who the people around you that are there to help you. And in football, that's all about putting yourself in the best position so that your help can actually help you, right? If I get in their way, then I don't help anybody. They can't help me either. So if I know that, you know, somebody is supposed to be on my left and they're there to support me, then I'm going to stay on the right so that I don't get in their way and they're in the proper place to help me. So knowing who your help is, know who are the people, where they are, who you can turn to, who you can go to help support you. So it's really important as you go through life, right? The other one is stay over the top, and that's actually one of my favorites, right? Stay over the top is really just about perspective and how you look at what's happening in your life. And I always say, you know, there's a saying that, you know, don't make a mountain out of a molehill, right? And I say to a mountain, everything is a molehill, right? And so when you put yourself at a different perspective and you look at things from an optimistic place and you look at things from a place of growth, then nothing is too big or too serious. If I'm a mountain, then even another mountain doesn't look as big if I'm taller than it. And so I'm trying to look at life from a position of perspective. No matter where I am, no matter what my condition is, my situation is, if I change my outlook and look at it from a higher perspective, then all my problems seem smaller and I can effectively conquer them that way. And so those are some of the quick hits in the book there.
Yeah, thank you. Those are good ones. So could you talk about the engagement on the social media and with hashtag PPA guide?
Yes. So when I first dropped the book, it was something that I constantly pushed. And so as people read the book, you know, and they use the hashtag, I can go and see, you know, their reflections on some of the you know, content in the book, and just kind of share with them either, you know, my appreciation with them for, you know, their reflection on what they learned from the book, or, you know, digging a little bit deeper and ask them, you know, questions about something that they may have referenced or dealt with or gone through. And so I am not a super, I don't want to say savvy, I'm savvy, but I'm not always on social media. But when I do get the opportunity to go in and just see, you know, how the pages of my book have impacted people's lives is nothing but a blessing from God. And so I love to hear back from people, and just even if it's just, hey, I got the book, it was great, it was a great read, that lets me know that it gives me that satisfaction of, I did the right thing, and the time and the commitment that I put into it, it was worth it. Even if it's just one person that says, man, this helped me, this changed my life, it's all worth it for me.
It's totally worth it. And I hope you continue putting out more, because we need it. We need more.
Well, thank you. I got another one or two in my mind working now. So.
Oh, good. Oh, goody. I'm excited. So now, with the pandemic and us, quarantining and everything, how are you engaging and still engaging with your audience and the youth? Are you using social media, or what have you been doing?
So I use it a little bit, but this has actually been for me a time to take a step back. Right before the pandemic hit, I had just finished doing some work with NJCU and their athletic department, and then I thought about, okay, how am I going to, transition with the pandemic and go virtual and everything like that. And as I was thinking about it and praying about it, it was a minute for me to kind of step back, because I did not want to so drastically change what I do just to kind of fit into this virtual world. The presentations that I do are extremely interactive, and they're that way purposefully. I use a lot of props and have my participants engage with those props and things like that, because it helps for the message to become more concrete. And so I was like, I'm thinking about ways I can still do it virtually. And then in the midst of that, I realized trying to do that would take it so far from what it was. And so instead of doing that, I took a little step back, and, I still go on social media and I post things every now and again, inspirational messages and things like that. But instead, I'm using the time to prepare for when the pandemic is over. How am I going to enhance my on-site presentation? Because I know that once this is over, the groups that I work with and things like that, they're going to be looking for people to be able to come back and get things going. And I want to be ready for that time, so that my messages, my presentations are all the more impactful for my participants, particularly the young people that I work with, because they'll be excited to have somebody back in the school and not be staring at a screen.
Right. And that's so brilliant that you're doing, like you said, that self-care. That you need that time. And this has been a great time to re-energize and refocus. So that's really good.
Absolutely. And just thinking about, because I'm an educator by trade, it is really, really rough on young people right now having to do school and stuff like that virtually. And as much as we, kind of make fun of them for being on their phones all the time and screens and stuff like that, like literally all day long, they're staring at a screen. And so thinking about that, like, I don't want to add more to that for them, especially if they're not going to get the experience that I really want them to get out of it. Like, I do a presentation called Suit the Guys, and we talk about how perception and reality, how perception affects reality. And I have these big rocks that I have the participants hold on to. Like, I want them to be able to experience that. I don't want to just talk to them through a screen and kind of explain it to them. I want them to have that experience. And so those were some of the things I thought about as I was thinking about, okay, how am I going to adjust to virtual? And then stopped and said, okay, wait a minute. I don't need to, just for the sake of continuing to have my name out there or whatever it is. this is a great time for me to kind of step back, take care of myself, like you said, worry about my two boys who are going through virtual school and things like that, and then prepare for that next season so that I can accelerate and hit the ground running when that time comes.
That's so brilliant. And I would love that engagement. The kids with the engagement with the rocks and then also it's like a good icebreaker because they get to know each other. That's awesome. Yeah. How are your boys been handling and managing homeschool and virtual?
They're adjusting.
Yeah. Yeah.
My oldest is a school kid. Like, he loves school. He loves being around friends and all that kind of stuff. So it's a little bit more challenging for him. He, like, the first day, he was like, when are we going back to the school building? Like, he can't wait to get back. He's 6. He's about to be 7 in October. He can't wait to get back. But he's managing as best he can. My youngest, he's hit or miss. He's fine with the virtual learning. The first day, he's much more shy. He's not really like into cameras and a bunch of people seeing him. He didn't even want his camera on the first day. He's warmed up since then. But they're doing okay. We try to get them out the house as much as we can and still allow them to be kids and play. So
it's such a big adjustment they had to go through, and I just love now, like, families are able to spend more time together, and it's just a great time of reflection and building relationships that we're always so busy before. Now we do have to spend the time together, which I love.
I do too. And I know everybody's situation may not be like that, but again, looking at it from a mountain perspective, I could look at it and say, oh man, this is terrible. We can't go anywhere. Everything's closed down and right? Or I can look at it and say, you know what? Like, this is it could be pretty cool. And so, one of the things that my family did is I was like kind of the only video game player in the house a little bit. And so I have my wife and my mom and sister. And so I got a new video game that allowed for 4 people to play together in house. And it's called Overcooked, and they fell in love with it. So like all during the beginning for like the first 3 months of the quarantine, like every night they were like, Jesse, are we playing Overcooked tonight? And so, like you said, again, just because you change your perspective now, instead of being like, oh my gosh, I got to be locked in the house with these people and I don't even like them. It's like, well, what can we do to enjoy each other during this time? Because it's different. We have to be here. So let's find something that we love to do in a way that we can connect. And so, again, looking at it from a mountain perspective, from a mountain, everything's a molehill. So we made the best out of it. We still love each other. Nobody has killed each other yet.
Right. That's important. Oh, well, thank you, Jesse. I enjoyed this time with you. And please thank Evelyn for sharing you with us.
Certainly will.
And I hope that we can stay in touch and stay connected. And I wish you all the best. And I want to have the audience know more about you. So I'm going to have everything in the show notes. And if you could send me pictures, more pictures I can add in the show notes if you want to share, that would be great too. And
will do.
So thank you. And I wish you all the best. And I bless you all. Blessings to you guys.
Thank you. Thank you for doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
And trying to reach people and help them to understand that they don't have to accept the crumbs.
Yes.
They are entitled to more. And if you want it, your website and your platforms are a great place to go to get some of those nuggets and just inspiration to be able to get more out of your life.
Thank you, Jesse. It means so much. Okay. Thank you, audience. And I know you had gleaned so much from Jesse, because Jesse is a blessing and he has so much to offer. So I will leave in the show notes all the information so you can reach out to him and learn more. So until next time, I'm Rhonda Jennifer. Take care.